Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story. Boss introduced a new rule that affected our overtime. The quality of our work dropped, and he begged for the new rule to be canceled. The second story. Local rep didn't like how we responded to the email, so we refused to work with him. The third story. Community college president spent his birthday, very red-faced, interacting with all the employees he clearly openly despised because he tried to be petty with me in the HR department. Today's first story is full day OT only? Many years ago, I worked as an engineer repairing retail customer PCs. Our team was small and there was often times when the amount of PCs needing repair was more than the team could get through during normal hours. In these circumstances, we were allowed voluntary overtime on Saturday, and we get time and a half for it. The rules for the OT were flexible. We could start when we wanted and finish when we wanted, and we would get paid for each full 60 minutes we were clocked in for. Back then, my girlfriend, now wife, used to work until 2 p.m. on a Saturday, so I would go in for 9:30 a.m. and leave at 1:30 p.m., giving me plenty of time to pick her up. This worked out great for everyone. However, the company structure was a little strange, with the front-facing customer service under the management of one director and the back of house, including my team, under the management of another, and they despised each other, constantly trying to cause each other problems. And of course, the workers were always caught in the middle. One fateful Saturday, I was working and noticed the front-facing director walk up, see that I was there, and move on without saying anything. I didn't think anything of it, and a short while later left at 1:30 as normal. I go in as normal on Monday, to find I had a meeting request from my director. Confused, I attended the meeting, and found both my director and the front director also there. Turns out the front director had arranged for a customer to bring in their PC for an urgent repair on Saturday, having confirmed I was there to fix it. On-the-spot repairs were very rare, reserved for only the most problematic or highest-spending customers. Me not being there to look at it had caused the customer to have a meltdown in the shop in front of many other customers. Of course, the front director took the opportunity to bring this up with the MD, to get one up on my director, leading to the Monday meeting, where she was out for my blood. Luckily, as the overtime rules for our department were clear, and I followed them, there was no direct action taken against me, with my director supporting me. However, one thing that did come from this was that we lost our flexible overtime. From that point on, if we wanted to do OT on a Saturday, we must be there for the whole day. As I wasn't willing to lose my entire Saturday, overtime stopped. It took less than a month for the department's backlog to hit over 100 units. Our target was to have less than 15 at the end of each day. I had originally wondered why my director didn't put up a fight when the new rule was set, but it didn't take long to see the number of customer service complaints and call waiting times skyrocket, all of which was the front director's responsibility. Not long after, my director approached me smiling, to let me know that the front director had gone to the MD, first to try to force us to do OT, and when that failed, begged for the new rule to be removed. So the next Saturday, I was back earning a little extra cash, and that director didn't try to screw around with our hours again. Edit. I'll be honest, this story paints my director in a really good light. Most of the time he was a complete A, and had hanging me out to dry made him look good and her bad, that's the route he'd have taken. The second story is, you should fire us. Okay, my family runs a small trucking company. Depending on where you are in the world, you might call us a P&D company, a final mile company, a white glove company. Basically, we handle the kind of stuff that you might buy to have delivered to your home or business, that's too big for someone like UPS to deliver, but not big enough for a tractor trailer to haul, and or stuff that actually needs to be brought into the home and set up, like furniture, appliances, etc. A lot of what we've hauled over the years is stuff going to small stores that can't take delivery by large truck, construction sites where large trucks can't get in and out, neighborhoods and apartment complexes. We don't work for the people buying the stuff, we work for the people selling or shipping it. But as we tend to see the same business owners a lot, we've developed great relationships with them over the years. We don't get rich, but we've been pretty comfortable over the years. Our one major stressor has been a long-time shipper who has, or rather had, become increasingly demanding as time went on. Now, when I say long time, I mean it. We made our first delivery for them over 50 years ago. Our company has been doing business with them longer than any of their current employees or management staff have been there. There was one point, not too long ago, where the retired guy who came in a few hours a day to sweep our warehouse, because he was bored sitting at home, literally knew more about this shipper's systems than their senior field rep, who was supposed to be supervising our operations. We've been a small but vital part of their network for so long that almost no one there really realized how much we did for them. We've seen field reps come and go, Some have been great, some have been a little challenging, but most have, once they realized what was going on, largely left us alone to do our jobs. One even called when he took over our area to ask who we were, because his predecessor had no notes on us at all, because they'd never had to visit. We've just been mostly quietly plugging along, taking care of their customers, in some cases for generations. Well, the latest rep was genuinely an unpleasant person. He was arrogant, abrasive, casually insulting our employees. Honestly, it's not worth getting into the minutia here. He wasn't someone we wanted to work with. But I'm able to put on a happy face and get along with about anyone, when needs must, so onward we strode. As I said earlier, the shipper had been getting more and more demanding as time went on. Systems had been getting harder to navigate. Inventory had been getting harder to track. Phone trees had grown into banyan nightmares. More and more layers of bureaucracy had been added. And with every change, they'd grown less agile, slower, more difficult to deal with. One day, the field rep called because he didn't like how we'd answered an email. Not that we hadn't answered it, just that he didn't like the manner in which it had been answered. After decades of dealing with this shipper, being micromanaged to that level was not something that we were interested in. The manager here, who was dealing directly with him, tried to defuse the situation, but it kept getting worse until the field rep said, "If you aren't happy with the way things are going, maybe you should just quit." Oh, okay then. We started running the numbers, looked at all our other business, decided that we could indeed go on without them, and then I called the field rep to have a frank conversation with him. And then I wrote a short, polite, direct letter to our customer of over 50 years, telling them that we were firing them. We didn't just pull the plug, we gave them a full 60 days notice, so they'd have time to get something worked out. And they didn't. We've always been here for them. They've never had to worry about it. They had someone they thought was going to be a replacement. But well, as of today, most of their customers in this area haven't had deliveries in a week. Some longer than that. Many don't know when they'll get their next shipment. That field rep might still have a job when all is said and done, but it's not our problem anymore. Our phone keeps ringing. People looking for their freight from that shipper. Sorry, you'll have to call them. Update, 11/28/2022. For almost a month, our office got daily calls from people looking for their orders. A lot of the regular customers had my and my partner's cell numbers, and we got more than a few calls directly. My most recent call was a guy I've known since the early 90s desperately trying to track down a replacement order that just seems to have evaporated. Sorry, can't help. We've picked up enough new business that we're not worried about the future. We did have to let a couple of people go, but our remaining employees are happier dealing with the new customers. Our working hours have settled, and we just took our first 4-day Thanksgiving weekend in probably 15 years. My wife kept saying how weird and wonderful it was to have me home for the entire holiday, and for my part, it was the best Thanksgiving I've had in a long, long time. The new company is still struggling to keep up, let alone catch up. We've been told that the old field rep is not in a position to be able to treat people like that anymore, but haven't been told exactly what has happened to them. Their replacement in our region is burning the candle at both ends trying to keep up with his regular work and get the new company straightened out. One of old customers' biggest customers in this area told them that if they wouldn't commit to sitting down at the table with us to try to get us back, they were going to look at taking their business elsewhere. We didn't ask for that, but we said we'd be willing to talk if they came to us. They haven't. The new field rep said he passed on our willingness to talk, but that Hire wanted to stay the new course for now. Their call, and I'm honestly not upset about it. The new field rep sees the problems we've seen, and it seems like Hire does as well. We handled that business here for a long time, and we were pretty emotionally wrapped up in it. And we told new rep that we were sorry to have to put him in this position. He said, paraphrasing, No, this is our fault. We put ourselves in this position. I heard through the grapevine that we were one of over a dozen service providers to quit their network around the same time, in the space of a couple of months, and asked new rep about that. He clarified that it was over a dozen east of the Mississippi, and that there were a bunch more in the western region. Putting 2 and 2 together, we estimated something close to 15% of their providers. That's been a wake-up call to them. Hopefully they'll work toward fixing some of the long-standing problems. Like so many things in life, it seems like this was something we should have done a long time ago. I still see a lot of our old contacts, and it's nice to have the time to actually stop and chat with them, instead of being on the run all the time. One of them invited my family to his place in the country next spring, and another wants to get together for lunch next week. This is good. The last story is, misogynist racist gets just desserts. In my 42 female 20s, I worked in human resources for a growing community college in my area. My immediate boss, the HR manager, was an extremely smart and already successful retiree of a very popular international soup company. As you can imagine, he was a wealth of information and education for me, not just with HR policy, but also human behavior and psychology, and life in general, etc., etc. and he very quickly became my mentor. He despised prejudice in any form, and we had this in common. Unlike a lot of the other HR departments, we actually used our HR laws and policies to advocate for our employees over the company as often as possible. One of our favorite pastimes was exploiting the way the policies and correspondences were written in order to help the employees, because they were often vague or poorly written, and therefore subject to debate. And since we, the HR department, are the ones supposedly covering the company's on legal, they pretty much had to side with our interpretation. Well, these disputes with upper management, namely the board and the president, coupled with our thinly veiled smugness probably, provoked a lot of petty backlash from them and their loyal administrative minions. So one of them finds a policy note that all administrative staff have mandatory committee service duties that must be fulfilled on a needed or as-needed basis. And they decided to use this against me/us. I'm in the middle of several large time-sensitive projects that involve employee leave reports, sick and vacation time, benefits, benefit changes, disability, retirement, etc. It is literally our busiest time of the year, and the only time. 2 months. Jesus, what a nightmare our healthcare and benefit system is. Another rant for another day. Yikes. Anyway, to get it all processed is now. Otherwise, employees lose benefits, or don't get the changes they requested. Read nightmare. I get an email from president/minions, with boss CC, that I'm under review for not meeting the qualifications of my employment, as I have not spent any time serving on any of the various and often unnecessary committees, blah blah blah. Well, boss is peeved, capital P. So he says, oh, they want you on a committee? Since the policies were not well defined, there were no limitations on exactly which employees were to serve on which committees, and there were also no rules on who could head each committee. So boss put me as head of the president's birthday party committee. Yes, this narcissistic D-bag had a committee formed every year to plan his birthday celebration. To further elaborate on his D-baggery, see Juggling Thunder's C-ness, let me paint you a picture of birthday parties 20 years past. Rules 1. Only invite the cute chicks in our office building, and also that one Indian guy I like, who I'm pretty sure is actually from Pakistan. 2. Hors d'oeuvres and crudité and a cake with a loving and endearing message are paramount. 3. Make sure everyone in the room kisses my A as much as possible. Unfortunately for Prez, he always had to play nice in company email, etc. to manage his public profile, and I think he might have been also working against some negative publicity at the time. So he sent an email to head of birthday committee. He didn't know it was me. Make sure to invite everyone to my birthday celebration. I want it to be spectacular this year, etc, etc, etc. So I immediately went to my boss and excitedly said, "Boss, he said everyone." I invited the custodial staff, the daycare staff, the administrative staff, the professors, the people that clean the parking lots on contract, the students, everyone. I made it a pizza party with soda and ice cream. I told everyone in the invite that the president would love to hear from you. Please feel free to offer compliments and criticisms during this time. I even included text from his original email that said he wanted to quote see everyone and address concerns of the staff. So many employees showed up with so much to say. He hated it. His face was red the whole time. I never had to serve on another committee. We still laugh about it. Bonus, he got ousted over some other SH, and the new president is pretty amazing. I hope you love these stories. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for the support.